Okay, here we go. So should we start from the beginning? Shall we? Will you bear with me? I'll go faster this time. Good morning and welcome to our inaugural Fall Scholarship Training event. We are delighted that you have taken the time to join us this morning and trust that your time will be well spent. I am Laura Healy, and as the Vice President of Oregon State Chapter, I am the board liaison to the state COTI Education and Scholarship Committees. What a blessing it is to work with the wonderful sisters on these committees. Our focus today is the state scholarships, Marguerite, Oregon, and COTI, and how you can better support your applicants. Here to share their expertise are the knowledgeable and hardworking ad hoc scholarship committee, all of whom are on their second year of service. Mary Leverett, Chapter BM Portland, Chair. Vicki Howry, Chapter GB Pacific City. Wendy McCullough, Chapter R Joseph, and Kathy Zimbrick, Chapter DQ Corvallis. Also with us today is past state president Cindy Jensen, Chapter FC Eugene, who is also the chair of our state education committee. Cindy will serve as our moderator, fielding any questions you may have. You could say that this workshop is one of the silver linings of our COVID-19 pandemic. Because our spring area workshops were canceled, our committees discussed how we could still share important scholarship information with local chapter education committees. And since all the application deadlines for our state scholarships occur before area workshops take place, ordinarily, we decided that this fall would be an ideal time for our local chapter education committees to become familiar with important details of the state scholarship application process. International projects will be addressed in the spring, either at area workshops, if we have them, or in another Zoom meeting. You've been asked to download and print copies of all the application forms for the Marguerite and Oregon scholarships. And to check out the COTI scholarship application form and the COTI travel fund document. You probably noticed the simplicity of the COTI application form. One page to fill out, plus a 300 to 500 word essay. The other 2 pages in this are simply checklists, one for the chapter education chairman and one for the applicant, so nothing is overlooked. But truly, 1 page and the essay. The sponsoring chapter also writes a letter of recommendation, but there is absolutely no financial form to complete. It's safe to say that all Oregon students attending COTI will receive an Oregon COTI scholarship, the amount dependent on the total money in the fund and the number of students applying, but they have to apply. Please also note that students must reapply for our state scholarships every year, even if attending COTI. Repeat awards are not automatic, but they are highly likely if the application is made. That can't be stressed highly enough. Also, please do advertise COTI as the wonderful institution it is, and actively look for young women who would be a good fit and thrive in COTI's nurturing, affirming, and leadership building environment, not to mention one that is highly affordable. Did you know that COTI was just rated both the best regional college and the best value college in the Midwest? Encourage prospective students to take advantage of the $750 COTI travel fund, which makes a visit to the campus an affordable reality. COTI maintains that if a prospective student sets foot on the campus and experiences COTI hospitality, she is much more likely to return as a COTI student. And that COTI application, or the COTI Travel Fund, is found on our website, and basically requesting the money and then verifying that you've been there, giving obviously the details of your travels, and it's sent to me, and it has to be approved before you undertake your visit. Have any of you wondered why our state scholarship committee is an ad hoc committee when we've been supporting women's education with our scholarships for years? Well, prior to 2019, our scholarship committee looked quite different. It was made up of 3 members who lived close to the vice president so that scholarship materials could be readily transported from member to member. Members served on this committee for only 1 year, and there was lots to learn and do in that short time. It became apparent that there might be a better way to design this committee, and the ad hoc scholarship committee was born. The 4 members on the committee are appointed for 4-year terms, with 1 member appointed each year, the most senior member acting as chair and then rotating off. Members come from all over the state because scholarship materials are scanned by the chair and then sent electronically, saving time and money in travel costs. There may be an occasional in-person meeting when possible and allowed, but the majority of the meetings take place via Zoom, and we've had several. As you will hear from the members, it was a very successful trial first year, and all are excited about this second trial year, with the hope and expectation that the ad hoc designation will soon be dropped when our delegates to our state convention approve the new format of this committee. And now it is my pleasure to have Cindy tell you all about how to ask questions during this training and how to complete a short survey at the end. Cindy?
Thank you, Laura. I am pleased to serve as the facilitator for this first ever Fall Oregon Education Projects training. I'm sure you will agree that a training specifically designed to address Oregon scholarship applications and procedures is much more beneficial at this time of the year before it is necessary to prepare and submit the applications. Before I continue, let me address a few housekeeping items. At this time, be sure you have muted your device microphone by clicking on the mute icon. Please understand that my rural location internet connection, though satisfactory, does have a delay in the video and voice. Now to continue. The Ad Hoc Scholarship Committee is in its second year of testing the proposed modifications to the Scholarship Committee's structure and procedures. Mary Leverett and her committee have done an outstanding job of refining the procedural recommendations. They are the experts. And with that in mind, we ask you to listen attentively and take notes. Prior to this training, you were encouraged to download and copy Oregon scholarship documents so you can refer to them as they are referenced throughout the training. When possible, the reference document will be displayed on your screen. No doubt you have come to this training with questions, and I can assure you that most of your questions will be answered during the course of the training. However, if you do have a question that has not been addressed, you may do so following these directions. Locate the chat icon on your screen and click on that. A box will appear with everyone involved in this training listed. Click on the drop-down arrow and all the names of the participants except your own will appear on the screen. Click only on my name, Cindy Jensen, FZ. to ensure that your question only goes to me. We do not want any chat back and forth between other people involved with the training. This will be a distraction. So just click on my name for your question. You type in your question and be sure to click enter to complete the process. And then I will receive that question. I will screen the questions to ascertain if it is a repeat question or if it will be answered during the course of the training. At the close of the training, your questions will be addressed, and we have allowed enough time to do so. Please be patient with the process. At the close of this training, it is our goal that everyone is fully trained and confident in their ability to successfully guide an Oregon applicant through the application process. Following the question answer segment of this training, there will be a brief survey. Please take a moment to respond to the questions by clicking on the yes or no response. When Laura launches the poll feature, you can access the survey by clicking on the poll icon at the bottom of your screen. And now I am pleased to introduce Mary Leverett, Chairman of the Ad Hoc Scholarship Committee, who will highlight the committee's 2020 experience with the Oregon applications and provide an overview of the revised scholarship forms for the 2021-2022 academic year.
Thank you, Cindy. And thank you, Laura, as well, for those wonderful introductions and instructions. As Cindy said, I'm Mary Leverett out of Portland, Chapter BM, and it has been my privilege to serve as chair last year for this committee as we made our trial run. And I'm going into my second year as the chair with 3 remarkable women. I can't tell you how much I treasure the members of the committee, Vicki, Wendy, and Kathy, and we have become fast friends. There have been a few tears shed over the process, but most of all, we have a great time together, and we have certainly learned a tremendous amount about the Oregon projects that we're fortunate to have. Last year, for 2020, we received 81 applications for the Marguerite Scholarship. We received 141 applications for the Oregon Scholarship. And we're going to be talking about the specifics of those 2 scholarships today and what the criteria are for applying for one or the other. But as Laura said, this last year, we used electronic means to scan all of the applications that arrived and to share them across the state, because one of the benefits of this wonderful committee is that we have women from every corner of the state bringing their perspectives, their knowledge. And so it's not an isolated committee, but it's got broad representation, and you, all of our chapters, are the beneficiaries of that expertise. So we had some challenges last year. I think we've worked them out, and I can say without exception, we are excited and ready to go this coming year for the 2022 academic year. So as Cindy said, I want to talk briefly about the forms that we're going to be reviewing today. And as you've been urged to do, I hope you've had a chance to download those forms or certainly review them, because there are some changes to the forms this year for the 2021 start of the academic year. The revised forms that had input from all the committee members were posted on the Oregon P.E.O. website under projects in September. And you should have these in front of you. And I want to urge you, please, If you're like some of us, you kind of print out and you store some of those forms. And if they do not have a September 2020 date on them, recycle those old forms, pitch them out, find your wood stove, toss them in, because what we're going to be doing is using only the September 2020 forms. So take a look down in the lower right-hand corner of your forms, and there should be a footer that gives that date. So those are the forms we're talking about today. And really, most of the changes, there were some instruction changes, obviously, but one of the most significant changes that you'll be seeing are so many more highlighted areas. And I'm going to go now, bear with me. Remember, we're trying this out here. But one of the changes that we've had is so many more highlighted areas. And this is just, I'll be coming back to the screen. This is the checklist for your education committee. But what you're seeing in terms of the revisions for September 2020 are many more highlighted areas that call attention to the need for especially signing and dating individual forms. So please pay attention to that. We've tried to make it easier for you. And this coming year, we'll find out how successful we were. So I am going to just move right on to the chapter checklist. And that's what we were seeing just a few moments ago. I hope you have this in front of you. Here, I'll bring it back. And let's see, let's go to page 1 here. Yes, we could go to page 1 if I could find it. So here, I hope you are looking now at the Oregon State P.E.O. Sisterhood Chapter Education Chairs Checklist for the academic year 2021-2022. We've got some general instructions here letting you know that that each chapter can only send in applications for 3 Marguerite candidates and for 3 Oregon candidates. But here's a key, and we've highlighted it. We've set it off in bold. Select your applicants carefully. Consider their financial need, their academic ability, and their seriousness of purpose. But moving down here, you're going to see just below, before mailing, 5 arrows. As your chapter education committee, these are your critical responsibilities. So take note of this. These 3 pages of the chapter chairs checklist and these 5 arrows are your roadmap to a successful application submission. So as you are on the committee, it is your responsibility to review all chapter and applicant forms and materials for consistency and completeness. You're going to make sure the correct forms have been used. Again, dated September 2020. Carefully check, please, 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 I beg you, please carefully check your applicant's arithmetic on her income and budget and expense form. Make sure all documents are signed and dated as indicated, and keep copy for your chapter records. So I want to talk about the first arrow because it's really critical. It is the committee's expectation that each chapter education committee thoroughly review not only the documents you're sending in on behalf of your chapter, but the applicant's forms. And I can tell you that the committee, because we're now experienced, can tell in a heartbeat if you've done your job, because we have had so many glaring omissions. And most often it's because chapters have been hesitant to review and comment on applicant forms. Let me tell you a little tip, and I hope you note this. Tell your applicant early in the process that indeed your committee will be reviewing the materials she provides to you. Not in any way to be critical. That's not the point. The point is to make sure that your applicant has put together the strongest application possible. And that means that you may be making suggestions for her to revise a document for her essay, for example, or has she missed signing a form? But tell her that you are going to be reviewing her work. Again, not to be critical. So also your chapter responsibility, have all of the application forms been signed and dated as needed? Have you gone over your applicant's arithmetic on the income and expense form? I've heard from many chapters who feel like this is very personal information provided by an applicant, but this is part of your making sure that you have submitted the strongest, clearest, most internally consistent application possible. So please take a few minutes and check her arithmetic. And are your materials consistent, internally consistent? As we go down on this form, and remember, these 3 pages of this checklist are your roadmap. These are your guide to make sure everything is in perfect order. You know exactly what to do and how to educate your applicant to do the best job she can. Also, on this very first page, this introductory page, it tells you where to send your applications. I know Laura just loves to see the applications, but please do not send the applications to her. Send them to me. She will get her copies, but send them to me at the address that's listed on this page. And also, I think most of us, I bet many of you know these application deadline by heart. The Oregon CAUTI Scholarship, February 1st, Marguerite, March 1, and the Oregon Scholarship, April 1st. As we go down here we are. Tick off the boxes as you go. Your chapter recommendation form, your separate chapter letter of recommendation, and Wendy's going to be talking about that a little bit later. Your applicant's form, essays, application piece, the income and expense form, the letter of recommendation, and transcripts. So all of these have little boxes beside them that you can easily tick off as you review your applicant's work. So make sure you sign and date. Have I forgotten anything? I don't know if I have, but if I have, we will be taking questions, and you know that you've got an opportunity to talk to us. But please read, this is your roadmap. Please have those 3 pages in front of you and use those in all of your work with your applicant. So at this time, I'm going to hand off to Vicki Howery to tell you more and lead you through the applicant's checklist and the actual application form for your applicants. So thank you. We'll be back with you.
Okay, I guess I'm on. Greetings from Pacific City. It's a beautiful, well, kind of beautiful day, beautiful for the coast anyway. Greetings. So the applicant's checklist for 2021-2022 academic year. So Mary, if you put that up on the screen for me, we are hoping that you all downloaded it, but if you did not, we'll try to get a picture up there. First, we're going to see, I think, there we go. Mary tells me there is the white bird in the middle is named Bob. So you might want to say hi to Bob if you get a chance to see him again. Okay, starting at the top of the form, we have the applicant's name, home address, phone number, email, and a little important date there, item that's not highlighted, but submit completed application forms to the chapter education by, put in a date well ahead of March 1st or April 1st, so that you can have a chance to, as Mary said, go over those forms with your applicant, whether in Zoom or in person. What a year we're having, right? And you can make any corrections well ahead of that deadline, because this year we are making sure that we do not accept any applications past that deadline. Then you will have a spot for, now remember, this is for your applicant. So there's a spot for you as education chair or representative for the committee to put your name, address, phone, and email, so that if your applicant has any trouble or any questions about this process, they can get a hold of you easily. And if I were you, when I was education chair, I would make 2 of these, one for me that I had all her information right there, and then one for her also. Next will be the 6 pieces that need to come into the committee, and that's mailed to Mary. By the arrows, the application for scholarship, which we'll go over next, the activities chart, applicant's essay, income and budget expense statement, letter of recommendation, and transcript. Hint, letter of recommendation. For me, it has always been the hardest piece to get in, especially in this day and age when you don't know if they're going to have virtual learning or in-class learning. Get a hold of that person they want that recommendation from and get them working on it very first thing so that you can get that back. We would like it, if possible, to be from an instructor and on the letterhead for the university or school where the recommendation is coming from. And each of these 6 areas we are going to be going over carefully with you. Those 6 items need to come into the committee, those 6. Next, we have some highlighted bullets. We can't say this enough. Thoroughly review the application forms and materials for accuracy, consistency, and completeness. Very important. Carefully check the arithmetic. All forms must be submitted and signed and dated. This is so important. Do that wherever they ask you to do that. With all of these 6 items coming in to just Mary to scan, it is possible that a piece of that packet might get misplaced. If everything is signed and dated, it's going to be much easier for us to get that piece back with the rest of the packet. So please be sure that you sign and date everything where it asks you to. Then we go into the checklist for the applicant. And again, as they get it done, they can check it off for themselves, maybe even write down the date they did it. It must be signed and completed. We'll go over that next. The scholarship activities chart. And there are examples for how to fill those out, but that'll be going over later. Applicant's essay. The essay must be typed, include your printed name, and be signed and dated. And the other pertinent information there, 300 to 500 word essay, that hasn't changed. If you're new to the committees, this really will help you and your applicant keep organized and up on what needs to be done when. Income and budget expense statement, we will go over lots of changes to that statement. Be looking forward to that. Letter of recommendation, again, highlighted, signed and dated with the title or official identification of the writer and be on official letterhead when possible. This last year was very interesting with people having, students, young women having to all of a sudden go to virtual learning, how to get a hold of that favorite professor when they're out of the classroom and off into who knows where. Getting that letter was tough. Transcript, I'll be going over in a little bit more detail later, but we would like, it does not have to be an official transcript from the university or school, but it can be downloaded. Needs to have, though, all the courses taken, grades, and the cumulative GPA, and the current number of hours completed, whether it's 60 semester hours or 90 quarter hours. We need to have that. So that is the checklist for them. Now, one note, this checklist does not need to come into the committee. Mary doesn't need to see that. This is for your applicant and for you to keep track of having those 6 items. Those 6 items need to come in, but we don't need these 3 extra pages to come with that. That's for your chapters, education committee, and the applicant's organization. Okay, the next thing that I am responsible to talk about is the scholarship application form itself. Be sure that you look down at the bottom right-hand corner and see September 2020. That is the form you need for this year. Up at the top, First thing to note is whether it's for a Marguerite or an Oregon scholarship. Fill in that bubble. I'd like to say completely with dark ink, but that's not necessary as long as we can decipher which you're going for. If your applicant is going for the Oregon, please remember they need to have 60 semester hours or 90 quarter hours to apply for the Oregon scholarship. Then you can note whether it's for a full year. And if it's for a full year, you don't have to go down to the next piece to say whether it's fall, winter, spring. But if it's not for the full year, skip that and go down to say if it's just for fall term, just for fall and winter, just for semesters. So check those. And if you check them both, that's good too. But we just need to know, this will determine how much money we give. If you're just going for a term or a semester, that would be less than a full year as far as monetary need goes. Then we have the applicant's name, birthday, age, and the last four of the social security number there, the last four numbers. This will help us identify in case we have people with like birth dates, like names. It would really help. So if they would please include that. Home address, phone number, email, US citizen, all of these are needed for us to do a complete evaluation. If are you single, married, separated? It's pretty self-explanatory there. Previous P.E.O scholarships, say yes. Then we know what year and the amount you had. If there's not enough room for there, because I know some people have had 2 or 3, you can write it on the back, just so we know. Now, the next information, Oregon institution you plan to attend. You may or may not have been accepted, but which is the one that you plan to attend? We really do need the institution business office. There's no other way to get the money sent to you if you do earn a scholarship. Your academic standing, freshman, sophomore, junior. Now I know from my experience with my niece that she was not a junior, but she had so many hours. So if you want to hit other, explain what that means. I have junior status, but I'm carrying over such and such hours, or whatever it might be. The major or program that you're into, credit hours earned to date. Now you can find this on the transcript, or you may have your own record, but we will check to see that that number corresponds to what the transcript says. Your cumulative GPA, not just the GPA for the last courses you took, the last term. We want the cumulative GPA and the anticipated date of graduation. When do you anticipate graduating? The next page, you will again see that we need your printed name and your career plans. That's in case this sheet does not get with the rest of the packet. Where did you graduate high school? What year did you graduate? Don't say year graduated. Don't just say yes. We would like the year you graduated. A lot of applicants we have graduated many years ago, and for some unknown circumstance, they are returning to school. So it's really nice to know that information. We've given room there for 2 different colleges. What we ran into, it was new to me being new on the committee, a lot of high school seniors come out with college credits. They were taking kind of a dual enrollment, and they were enrolling both their senior year and sometimes even their junior year. They're taking classes at the community college in their area or some college. So that you could list, you may have graduated from high school this year, but you do have college credit. From what year, from what month to what year, so that we know. Last year, many people just said, been to college 2 years. Well, that really didn't tell us. We'd like to know from what year to when. And then sign it and date it. So that is the scholarship form. That's the first piece, one of the 6 pieces that needs to come in to Mary by March 1st or April 1st. I'm so happy to see all of you here. It's just exciting to see this many numbers. And now I would like to turn it over to the all-important income and budget form. And that would be Kathy. Take it away, Kathy.
Thank you, Vicki. And good morning from Corvallis. A key element in reviewing an application is to determine if the applicant is actually in need of a scholarship. The information provided by completing the income and budget expense statement will show us that information. I'm going to review this document with you and highlight some of the important areas. If you don't have this in front of you, please get it in front of you now so that we can go over it. You can also see that Mary has put it up on the screen, and you can look there as well. So let's take a look at the document. Directly below the title, there's a line that reads, "To be completed for the school year or the school period for which the scholarship is requested." Highlight that line, put a star by it, do whatever you need to do. We did get several applications that we could tell was from their current information and did not give us the information for the school year that they plan on attending. So this would be for the 2021-22 school year, which seems like a long ways away, but that's the year we're looking at. So now let's look at the left-hand side under monthly income. A lot of it is self-explanatory, but I want to highlight a couple of things. If you look under like the third line down, it says confirmed 2021-2022 scholarship loans and grants. Make sure that these are confirmed. If they have a pending scholarship or a pending grant and loan, do not include it. Only include what has been confirmed. We also found some of the applicants would put their P.E.O. scholarship in this portion, and that was a red flag to us that they were not using the correct year. So if you see something like a P.E.O. scholarship listed, double check to make sure they're using the 2021-2022 budget. Once you've completed this portion, add it all up, check their addition, and make sure that the total monthly income is correct. Okay, now let's jump to the second column, and you will see where it says monthly living budget expense. Do not put any education expenses in there. This is strictly for their living expense only. And again, it needs to be for their future school year, not what they have right now. Some of these things may be the same. If they're in an apartment now and they're going to be in an apartment next year, great. But if they're in the dorm now and they plan on moving into an apartment, it needs to be what they anticipate their apartment expenses will be. So it needs to be, again, for the following school year. Make sure you include everything. And then, again, check their arithmetic and make sure that the total monthly living expense is correct. So now we've done the income and the living expense, which are both monthly. We're moving on now to the education expense. And if you'll note on there, it says per term or per semester. So you want to make sure they are putting the total tuition and fees for the complete term or semester. And that also goes with childcare. If it's for education, related to education, transportation, it needs to be for the whole term or the whole semester, not monthly. Okay, so we now have the monthly income, the monthly living expense, and we have the total education expense per term or semester. We need to convert the education expense now so that it matches the monthly education expense. So if your applicant is going to a school that is on terms, you're going to divide it by 3. If it's a semester school, you're going to divide it by 4.5. How do you know if it's semester or terms? Ask the applicant. They usually have the answer. So ask them, make sure. If they don't know, a good rule of thumb is if it's a public school, it's probably terms. If it's a private school, it's probably semesters. but you want to make sure that you know whether it is term or semester. Once you've divided that, you've converted the education expense to monthly. So now you're going to take that monthly living expense and the monthly education expense, and you're going to add it together to get the total monthly expenses, which is going to include both living and education. And then you're going to finish it off by taking the total monthly income, which you have over in column 1, and you're going to subtract the total monthly expenses, and you're going to get the bottom line. And that's either going to be a positive or a negative number. 9 times out of 10, it's a negative number. So on the very bottom, you see it states, this difference may be a negative number. If so, include a brief explanation of how you plan to manage the difference between your monthly income and your monthly expense. I think this has been on the international applications for quite some time, but I think it's fairly new to the Oregon income and expense. And we did not receive a lot of applications last year were missing this piece. What we really want to do is show us that the applicant has a plan in place so that she is able to complete her education. So with that in mind, that she has to write down this plan, go up to the blue box, and in the blue box just gives information. It is additional information. And the information in here may help the applicant in writing her explanation. And it also helps the committee when we're evaluating. This is information only, and it should not be included in any of the totals. It just gives us a broader picture, and it helps the applicant. They may have investments that are available for education. They may have savings that are available for education, and that can be all in their plan if there's a deficit in that bottom line. And as we've all been saying, please, please, please print the applicant's name, date, and make sure they sign it. If you have questions, we'll answer those at the end. And now I'll turn it over to Wendy.
Well, good morning from Joseph. Right now it's snowing, but you know, there you go. It's Wallowa County and it's fall. So anyway, I'm going to talk today about the chapter letter and applicant essay. The chapter letter is a valuable part of the application. It lets the committee know that the chapter is more than casually acquainted with the candidate. Don't wait until the last minute to write your essay, or have your applicant write her essay. So in the focus of the chapter letter, you want to hit the highlights on the candidate evaluation sheet. Academics, you could list the GPA or say that your candidate continues to receive good grades or excel scholastically. Career potential, talk about whether the candidate understands the career path to which she is selected. Has she worked in that career while she's in school? Economic responsibility. Can she support herself in the career path that she's chosen? Work ethic. Is she working a job, raising a family, caring for parents, involved in the community, handling multiple responsibilities, and going to school? Community engagement. Is she doing something for others in her community or helping her family? Unique circumstances. Not everyone has a traumatic life. Has she always wanted to pursue this career path? Did something or someone happen in her life that made her want to take this path? Financial need. If there's a need, tell us. Not everybody has extreme financial need, but tell us. Overall, do you have good feelings about the candidate? Make your letter succinct, but provide special details about what makes your candidate outstanding. One page is sufficient. Sometimes just a few well-written words and paragraphs create a dynamic image of who your candidate is. Don't wait until the last minute. It's really hard to throw this together on the deadline of the application. Applicant's essay. Hit the highlights again from the candidate evaluation sheet, and feel free to share that with her. If the applicant has unique circumstances, she needs to tell us what makes her circumstances unique. What were her challenges in life, if any? Why she chose the career path she's on? Tell us. Did she have a break in her schooling? Tell us. Tell us why. Show in the letter grit and determination to accomplish her goals. The letter should be grammatically correct and use spell check. Don't wait again until the last minute. So now I'm going to hand it off to Mary, who's going to talk about critical bits of information.
Thank you, Wendy. I hope you're taking notes. I hope that so far you're finding this very helpful. I'm going to just talk briefly about the activities chart. This has been a standard form within the application packet for many years. What's different this year, here, let's see if I can pull that one up. What's different this year is having a signature and a date on this form. So here, printed name, but as we go down, look here. It's a September 2020 form. It has employment, it has activities and recognition leadership service, but at the bottom, like on most of the other forms that you're seeing dated 2020, it's requiring the applicant's signature and the date that she's completed and signed it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it's important for us. We're treating those signatures as if that is a contract from the applicant to us, indicating that the information that they're providing is true and correct. It just gives us a little bit more confidence in what's going on. The academic letter of recommendation is a critical bit. And my heart goes out to all of the applicants this coming year, where schools have basically converted from in-person classes to online classes, that as a result of COVID-19, other factors are going to limit your applicant's ability to form a relationship with the person she would like to have write a letter on her behalf to include in our application packet. But there are some tips and tricks to work through this. Now, last year, so many women got caught off guard, as we all did, by the schools either shutting down or starting up with online classes. But even if there are no laboratory classes, there are no in-person lectures, it doesn't mean that your candidate can't, via Zoom, telephone, FaceTime, whatever means she has and available and is comfortable with, that she can't contact an instructor, a graduate teaching associate, or her advisor early, like now, to say, my name is Mary, and I know that I'm going to be applying for a scholarship in early spring, and I'm going to need a letter of recommendation. And at this time, I'm asking you to be prepared to do that on my behalf and to make sure that it gets done and that the person writing the letter feels confident. Have that applicant say, I want to get to know you. Reverse that little one. I want to give you an opportunity to get to know me. Whether, again, that's FaceTime, whether that's telephone. I mean, there are so many ways of doing this, but urge your applicant to reach out, to set an expectation for an instructor, an advisor, to say, we may never meet in person, but still, I would like you to write a letter on my behalf. And I'm going to give you the opportunity in the next few months to get to know me so that you can write that letter with confidence and to show that I truly am, to borrow some of Wendy's language, I've got grit and determination, and I'm going to do this. So please, we know this is going to be a challenge. Everybody knows these letters of recommendation are going to be a challenge, but start now, start early, and support your candidates in doing this. Don't let your candidate feel that, oh, I just can't. I don't know how to approach someone. This is part of confidence building. And remember, it's also part of her education on how to reach out and connect with people. I think that's about it for that little one. But know that we are here to answer your questions on that. As we get closer, you can ask questions about that today as well. But don't delay. As you start to get to know your applicants, please urge them to get started on this piece. Because we know from experience, and here you're looking at a very experienced committee now, we know the challenges that are ahead of these women today. So that's my little bit on critical bits. And I'm going to turn it over now to Wendy, and she's going to talk about those tricky, sticky transcripts. So thanks so much.
Okay. Oh, no, Vicky's
No.
on transcripts.
Yeah. I'm on transcripts. That's all right. We're interchangeable. So at any rate, transcripts, like I mentioned before, it is one of the vital pieces, 6 pieces that come into the committee for as part of the scholarship application. Now, the transcript can just be downloaded from online. It does not have to be official, but be sure to include transcripts of all the classes you have taken from all the institutions that your applicant has attended. Many times we will get, like I said before, just fall terms or just spring semester. We want the whole package. And be sure that your cumulative GPA is on the transcript, not just the current grade that you're getting for that term or semester. Likewise, be sure that the total number of credit hours is listed on that transcript. We need to know that, especially if you're applying for the Oregon scholarship, how many hours you've accumulated. Again, we need 90 quarter hours, or also known as term hours, or 60 semester hours. Now, you may wonder why we want to have a whole transcript. Well, last year we had transcripts submitted with just the most current terms grades visible only. And while GPA and cumulative hours were there, the transcript did not give us an indication as to the type of classes that were taken. So we could get the whole picture of the intent and determination of this applicant. For example, one young lady had flunked her math course in the beginning of the term. And she turned right around 2 terms later and took it again and got a passing grade. And that showed to us that she was committed to pursue her education. She had these goals and the determination to do it. So that whole array of classes gives us an idea of how determined this young lady is to complete her education, how serious she is about wanting to get that degree goal. So I hope that that answers you on transcripts. We don't want just a term. We want the whole enchilada. And if you're a high school graduate going for a Marguerite, we need the high school transcript and any additional community college classes that that person may have taken. Thank you very much. And now I'll turn it back to our illustrious, exciting leader, Mary. Take it away, Mary.
Oh no, we're going to turn it over to Wendy.
Oh, okay.
So bear with us, ladies from around the state. this is your committee at work. You're getting to see, at least we're on good friendly terms. So
Thank
Wendy,
you.
take it away and tell us about how awards or decisions are made. I know a lot of you have asked about this. So, okay, Wendy, you're up.
Okay, well, before I was on this committee, I always felt like, you know, it was a lot of hocus pocus and all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, the decisions got made. But no, it's quite a process. So the scholarship team of 3, we each receive a copy of the completed application, which includes the chapter recommendations, scholarship application, letter from the chapter, letter from the applicant, income and expense statement, scholarship activities chart, letter of reference, and the academic transcript. That all gets scanned by Mary, the chair, and emailed to all of us. From this information, the team individually evaluates and scores each application, giving a value ranging from 1 to 5. 5 is the highest, and that's in the following areas: academics, career potential, economic responsibility, work ethic, community engagement, unique circumstances, and financial need and references. Those all get scored 1 to 5. Then the area of overall essence of an Oregon or Marguerite scholarship is a range from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. The total points possible that an applicant can receive is 50. Weekly, each team member sends her scores to the chair, who tabulates them into an Excel spreadsheet. Once all the applications have been evaluated and scored by the chair, the vice president, and the scores recorded by the chair, the vice president and the committee meet to review the scores. If there is a significant discrepancy, so say Vicky gives somebody a 47 and Kathy gives somebody a 40, that's a significant discrepancy. So we talk about these applications and why one scored one different than the other one. And then we arrive at whether the person still gets a 40 or if they get a 47 or how that all works together. But anyway, it's talked about with the committee, and then a final decision is made on the points. At this time, once we've gotten everybody all reviewed, the group is informed by the vice president how much money has been given by the chapters and is available for the different scholarships. The chapters giving funds to the Oregon Education Fund undesignated for a particular project is very important, as these funds can be allocated to the projects as needed. The applicants are sorted according to their scores, with 50 points being the highest. So here's an example. You might have 2 applicants with scores of 50, 2 applicants with scores of 48, 5 with 45 points, 3 applicants with 42 points, 10 applicants with 39, and on through all the applications. This gives a range of scores for all the applicants. The committee decides how to allocate the available funds. Example, whether to give larger awards for those scoring in, say, a range 45 to 50. Or we also evaluate, does every applicant receive funds, or do scores below a certain level not receive funds at all? So that's up to the committee to decide. So here is the breakdown for the 2021 scholarships that were awarded, funds available, number and percentage of those who received scholarships. For the Marguerite, 59 chapters participated, sent us applicants. There were 87 applicants. The award range was between $1,250 and $4,250. The number receiving funds was 81. It was 92% of the applicants for total scholarship dollars. Thank you very much, all of you wonderful PEO sisters, of $168,425 awarded. The Oregon, we had 84 chapters submitting 147 applications. The range of awards was 1,400 to 4,500. We had 141 receive scholarships. Total percentage, 96% received scholarships. Funds, $254,000. Thank you, P.E.O. sisters. COTI, we had 4 chapters submit 4 applications. They had a range of award between 8,000 and 10,000. All received it and was 100%. And they received a total of $40,000 went to those 4 applicants. So now I'm going to hand it off to the committee for tips and tricks.
Let's do some tips and tricks here. I hope you're finding this helpful, but we're not done yet. There's still more to come, so hold on to your seats here. I've got a few tips and tricks that I've noted. Remembering my time on the 2016 Scholarship Committee when Sandy Southern was the vice president. And here again, we are all clustered around her dining room table, sharing paper, and the work that we did last year. First and foremost, please, as you know, this is critical, get to know your candidates. Get to know your women so that you can write, as we've talked about, that critical chapter letter of recommendation. Are you proud to sponsor this woman? Show us, please, because you have taken the time to get to know her. And it's going to take a bit more effort this year because you may be doing this electronically rather than in person. And we know that there are limits there, but it's incumbent upon you as your education committees to get to know your applicants so that you can be a resource for them and you can tell your applicant's story in a truthful but compelling way. Show us what you know. So getting to know, download the forms to send to your applicants. So we have all PEOs have access to the Oregon PEO website, but please download those forms, perhaps transfer them, save them to your desktop so that you can then send those forms as a complete packet onto your applicant so that you're not giving your applicant or your candidate the PEO password and user ID name. And that's just standard practice. We know that last year we were able to send some links to help facilitate you getting those forms. We're going to try that again, but at this time, because we're not really gearing up until January, February, that's in the works, but make sure you check the PEO Oregon website under projects because there may be some links there to make sending those application forms to your candidates. Remember, we've talked about this repeatedly. Review everything your candidate has done. And by the way, review your chapter letter and your chapter recommendation form. Has the president signed the recommendation form? Not just the education committee chair. Can we read it? Oh, please. Oh, I beg you, please. Write legibly. I am not a cryptologist. I am not a cryptologist, but you know, I came away last year and I thought I've learned some new languages. I've had to decipher signatures, names. It was exhausting. So please make sure you print legibly. Oh, and by the way, urge your applicant to print legibly. Now, on that income and expense form, I want to go back to what Kathy was talking about. That form is set up as an FNP. That stands for fill and print, right? So as your candidate is putting in her monthly income or her monthly expenses, the arithmetic should automatically be done for her. Last year, we had some fill and print forms that we could tell had been used. And the arithmetic was kablooey. It was all over the place. So don't just sit back and think, oh, it's fill and print. I don't have to do anything. We know it's going to be accurate. Please take your responsibilities as reviewers and supporters of your applicants very seriously and get out that magnifying glass. It's going to all go to the good. Okay, can we all recite the submission deadlines for the various applications? I can do it in my sleep now, ladies, but I am sure all of you know, yeah, February, March, April. But do you know where to send the applications? Are you all going to send them to Laura over there? She's sitting right next to me. Are you all going to send them to Laura? Oh, no, you're not going to do that because you just really wouldn't want to do that because that delays my getting the information. Laura has to figure out a way to get it to me. And frankly, we just, after we have reviewed the first 50 applications, we're starting to get a little cranky if things aren't done the way we've asked you to do them. That's why we're here today, so that you have a committee that is not cranky as we continue with our work on this. And let me tell you what to expect once you send in an application. And you're going to send one application in one envelope. You are not going to use staples or paper clips. Will you repeat after me? I pledge not to use staples or paper clips. Please. I just have to rip those things off in order to scan everything. And cranky, oh, you don't want me cranky. But once you send in an application, and if you sent in an application last year, you know that after some period of time, I sent a confirming email to each chapter regarding each applicant to say that we had received it. We had received the application. I let you know whether the application was complete or if there were pieces missing. And last year, we gave you some time to work with your applicants to submit missing pieces. This year, because we're doing this training, and we know all of you are going to come out with just great notes and great understanding about what the expectations are, we're not going to decide whether we're going to give extra time to complete an application or not. That's going to be a committee decision with Laura. But please send in those applications. You've got all the roadmaps, but don't leave things out. Let's get everything packaged together, one envelope, no staples, no paper clips, and it goes to me, Mary Leverett, at a Portland address, not Laura, not that lady over there. She's going to have enough on her plate. So please do her a favor. What else? What else? I guess really to sum up, and you've heard us yammer on about this morning, so thank you for your patience. But you have two roadmaps. You've got your chapter checklist and you've got the applicant checklist. If you look at those and you tick off each box as a portion gets done, you're going to be so far ahead and you're going to make our lives so much easier. Hey, and we are a great team. We work really well together, but we don't want tears this year. We just want smiles and easy process. So, and please, you also know that if you have questions as you get into this with your applicants, if you have questions, we're here to help you. This is not the last you're going to see of us. Laura's available to ask questions. I'm available. Your team is available. And you have the benefit this year of working with an experienced, excited team. So use us. If you don't know what to do, send an email, give us a call. All of our information is available to you on the website. So what else do I need to tell you about? More questions. So if you have, let's go back to where we started. If you have questions about international projects, you're looking at the best resource right up here in the upper right-hand corner. At least that's where she is for me. Cindy Jensen, her team, Barbara Brooks, and the others are available to help you find your way through those sometimes lengthy and complicated international scholarships that are online. But we're here. The four of us are here to help you. We do not anticipate having online applications anytime in the near future. The reason for that is money. Money, money, money. It takes a lot of money to put those applications online, to have the instructions online. Jean Ann from Chapter AP already knows about that and keeping those up to date. And Cindy has shared with our committee how it sounded exhausting to get some of the international, So somebody's got screen sharing on. So there we go, thank you. But Cindy has told us from the international perspective how challenging it was to get PCE, ELF, other very complicated, very lengthy applications online, and the trials and errors and the redoing. And frankly, Oregon State Chapter doesn't have the money to do that. And the money that you are graciously contributing is going to scholarships, not for those administrative tasks. So paper and pencil is our friend, fill in print forms are our friends, but bear with us, but contact us. We're happy to help. We don't want to make this difficult for you. So
I'd like to add something. I know information is coming at you fast and furious, and some of you are asking, could we have a quick recap of this, that, or the other? We will try to get this recorded version on the website. We could make individual documents available to you. There's interest in how the scholarships are awarded. That was Wendy's presentation. We can do that. But I'd like to share with you one often overlooked wonderful source of information that's found on the Oregon State Chapter website. And if I go to here, this is called a resource for local chapter education committees. Can you see it? It's about a 15-page document that's found on the Oregon State Chapter website. It's under projects. And you go down under projects over, and you've got several things. You've got the, well, if I could really see that. You have the projects and grants is kind of an overview, travel fund, OSC scholarships, the scholarship forms, and at the very bottom you have the resources. I've printed it out for myself because it's wonderful to have this information available at your fingertips. It has contact information. On the third page, it even has the tips on the letters of recommendations, which were given to you in this presentation. So they are right there, and important qualities to consider when writing a recommendation for a candidate. So I think a lot of that is there. I know the total funds are given for international projects, and I think you'll find a lot there. So don't overlook this very valuable resource for local chapter education committees, and it covers both the Oregon State Chapter scholarships and the international projects. Also, you get an education newsletter every other month, and it is filled with the most recent information that would be important to you from international projects from the state, projects from Cotty College. So please do read that and share that with your education committees. That education newsletter is sent to the presidents, the chapter techs, and the education chairs. But it shouldn't end with those people. It should be distributed to the whole committee. And be aware that sometimes the mailings that are sent via Send in Blue end up in your spam folders. Just this morning, I heard from several who didn't get the Zoom link, even though they got the heads up it's coming, for whatever reason, sent by the same server by Send in Blue, didn't happen. So that's why I was missing for a while. I was trying to get these people in on our training. So do check the spam folders if at the beginning of the months when the newsletter comes out, it'll be again in December. If you haven't received it, check your spam folders because it has come to you. Okay. I think we need to open the floor up to questions, and hopefully you've addressed them to Cindy because I know you have lots of questions. And Cindy, do you have some that you can then share with the committee?
We have so many questions. We may not get to all of them. There are so many, which is exciting because truly you've all been so engaged. I'm just going to try to group them, and I'm going to start with those that referenced Cotty initially. Hopefully the answers can be succinct. Some of you requested or had questions, and the information is on there. Since we've taped this, you'll get it. You have the opportunity to get it again. So if I know that your answer is in this presentation, I may not get to that particular question because there are so many. So to begin with, Cotty, how many Cotty travel grants did Oregon approve last year?
I believe there might have been one. And I can't remember for sure. And Bunny is on and she can verify that. But I remember when I was treasurer that I approved at least one, possibly two. There aren't lots and lots of them. So the sad thing is that there aren't that many girls from Oregon that are on the list that they're currently interested in Cotty. We just got one the other day, but you really need to spread that word. So yeah, that's the best I
Yeah,
can.
there was only one.
Yes, thanks, Bunny.
This is a follow-up logistical question, but I know it's the concern of chapters when they're looking at that travel fund opportunity. How does one get from the Kansas City airport to Nevada? And I know that's a bit of a trick because of the length of time it takes to drive there. And from my own experience, that's something that you can work out with the college if they're going to the See for Yourself weekend.
Exactly.
All right. We have been emphasizing need over scholarship when there are lots of applicants. So we might accept someone who has a 3.8 instead of a 4.0 if there is more need. Is that going to make our applicant non-competitive?
No,
That might be a question for Kathy.
it might be for,
Go ahead, Mary. I don't know.
well, no, remember, what we're trying to stress here is that we want to look at everything you've sent us. Need is critical. These typically are need-based scholarships. Grade point average is just a factor in that. It shows us that someone is making an effort, staying the course, is committed. But listen, wherever you are around the state, you have to get the strongest candidates that you can find in your area and put those packages together. Show us who this woman is that you believe in. And we have to take it from there. We don't have the luxury of meeting in person and having interviews with them that might influence our decisions. We have to look at paper and pencil. So make the best case you can, stressing need, academics, community service, all of those other things. And we will do our best to look at each applicant in its entirety based on the paperwork that you send us.
Hey,
Wendy?
why aren't you continuing to have us scan the documents and send as a single package by email rather than mailing and having you scan?
Well, it's as much procedural as anything. Historically, the information packet says we won't accept email or faxed applications. Last year, Bunny and I spent quite a bit of time talking about that as COVID roared into our lives, and it was kind of upset apple cart for everyone. And we did allow some chapters to send in application packets by email. But we're not going to do that this year unless we have special circumstances. And if that's the case, chapters around the state will be notified. So know that we want mail in. And it could be lovely to have a chapter send in a scanned application. But when I get it, I have a process for scanning it and filing it into master spreadsheets. And even if you scan it and send it to me, whatever you send is not going to transfer into my filing system. And I am a very, very picky filer. I pay attention to these little details. So mail in your applications to me and I'll take it from there and keep the committee apprised. But thank you for the question. Wendy?
On that, a couple of questions had to do with how early they could send in an application. Do they have to wait till the deadline date, or can they send it in earlier?
You can send it in earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, earlier, you know, it's kind of like vote early, vote often. Send it in. And no, don't wait until the deadline, please, because I can tell you from experience, as can Bunny and Cindy, that as the deadline nears, there's a scramble. And my mail carrier last year got a real chuckle out of the volume of mail that ended up on my porch as the deadline loomed. I am thrilled to get something earlier. Gives me a little bit of breathing space to do all the processing I need to. The deadline is the cutoff. Your application has to be postmarked by that date. That's it. Last year, we extended the Oregon Scholarship application deadline because, again, that nasty virus going around kind of threw us for a loop. But we don't have intention to extend deadlines. Mail early, mail often.
Applicants for Oregon scholarships have a minimum number of years they have to have been an Oregon resident.
We want Oregon residents. Remember, these are our special Oregon scholarship funds for Oregon women. They don't cross state lines. Does an Oregon scholarship applicant have to have been a resident for some period of time? I'm going to look at Laura. I'm going to look at Bunny and say, I don't think length of residency is key as much as just being an Oregon resident. And I could be wrong on that. I am always happy to stand corrected. Bunny, I'm looking at you in a corner.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we do not ask how long they've been a resident.
Yeah.
That is not a question we ask. And the reason it does say Oregon residency is because it is in the trust account and we have to do it.
Okay, good. Thanks, Bunny.
Here's one that I should have asked in that COTI grouping, but I'll bring it up now. COTI requires going out of state as there are travel and housing expenses. Are there ways that an applicant can get a very significant scholarship? And I suppose to cover those costs.
Well, as you heard in the presentation, there were only 4 applicants for the $40,000 that was in the pot for Cotty College, and that money is divided almost equally among the applicants. So they do get quite a bit of financial support from that Cotty scholarship. And you must know that whatever they get from us is then looked at by Cotty College, and they might get less financial aid from the college. So if they don't get as much from us, they might get more from the college. You know, it works both ways. You know, it balances that way. But definitely there is, you know, $8,000 or $10,000 to help with your tuition and your board and room and everything at Cotty is quite a significant award.
Have we ever thought of using the FAFSA completed form, which demonstrates need as determined nationally? Most students in need would have filled this out.
I think that goes to Kathy.
I don't know if we've ever looked at using that. I know we do put what the, it is on the income and expense sheet just as information only, but we haven't talked about using the FAFSA at all.
Wendy's got a,
One thought on the FAFSA is that a lot of people have parents that have high incomes, and still those parents, according to the letter that the applicant says, are not going to help these girls. So the FAFSA is fine, but I don't think we should have that be something that's the be all and end all, just because some of them have parents or family or something that don't give them any support.
I agree.
I might add there, from my experience on PCE, we always looked at FAFSA, but remember that isn't always free money. Some monies in FAFSA is grant money or scholarship money, but a lot of it is loan money. So we would weigh that as what is pending, and a grant would reduce the amount that an applicant would have to depend on for loan money. We're trying to, you know, reduce that long-term debt that students have. So we looked at it that way. And I remember in my time on the committee, we did the same thing. Any funding that they got that was grant money or scholarship money would reduce loan dependence. Okay, what's the difference in childcare expenses related, not related to education?
Well, you may have an applicant who is working like 3 days a week and they have to have childcare while they go to work. That would be regular expenses. If you have an applicant that is paying for childcare because they are going to school, then that would fall under the educational expense. It may be that they have childcare 5 days a week. 3 of those days may be regular expense, and 2 days of that week may be educational expense. They just have to look at how often do I need childcare, and is it because I'm in school or is it because I'm working?
good, good, good.
One related to nursing school applicants. The comment is that nursing school applicants don't find out if they are accepted until April or May, and most don't get accepted because it's so competitive. Is it worthwhile to apply for an Oregon scholarship?
Oh, please, please apply. We want to support any worthy applicant. There's a place on the scholarship, on the applicants, on the application form that the candidate fills out that says, have you been accepted or not? And if they're putting down, for example, Linfield College of Nursing or OHSU College of Nursing, we know that those deadlines for notifying those candidates can be way out there, and it can be a tricky thing. But we've also seen, and I think Bunny would support this, that we've got women who do get in to nursing schools despite the high competition rate. And sometimes they have backup plans. And so please don't let a prospective something or other get in the way of sending in an application. If it turns out that your applicant, I've got some sun coming in here, that your applicant is not going to school, did not get accepted, or has changed schools, remember, as the education committee, it's your responsibility to notify the vice president of any changes in those school plans. And we're used to working with that. We'll continue to do that, but we want to support, even build confidence in women as they're applying.
Okay, can you speak to the fill and print version? That they can be downloaded and then bring it back up and fill it out. Then all the addition on the financial form would be correct.
You know, I can't speak to that. I really can't, because as I said, last year we had some fill and print income and expense forms where the arithmetic was just wonky, just did not add up. And so I had scribbled with my red pen. Oh, by the way, I get several red pens before scholarship time so that I can make little notes on the application so that the committee members are alert. But I had to redo, and I've gotten pretty darn good at doing those forms, ladies, regrettably. But I had to, you know, note that the fill and print was not accurate. And we even got notices from some of the chapters, if not applicants, saying, this doesn't look right. So know that those are all going to be double checked. We appreciate your double checking them first and your red pen on it rather than mine.
May I speak?
Bunny?
Yes, I just wanted
Here's a
to add,
suggestion.
I just wanted to add that I think that when they were incorrect, it was when people just typed over it and did not actually use the fill and print. There is a difference. If you just click on that form and it opens up in these new browser forms, you know, and you just write on it, the formulas don't work. So the secret to making it work is to download it and then re-upload it. And when you do that, all of those formulas will work. But yes, you're correct, Mary. You have to double check and make sure that it worked. But we spend actually quite a lot of money to have those all those forms turned into fill and print. And we double check all of that before it goes up, and even once it's on the website. So the problem comes when people try to type in without using it in the correct form. So I just want to be sure people are aware of that. So when you tell your applicant to fill it out, tell her to please download it and re-upload it into, because that's when it'll work. There is some kind of issue on some computers where it doesn't.
Okay, we have many, many more questions. So if we don't get to all of them, I'm going to transcribe all these questions and refer them to the committee if we don't get to them, okay? So here's a comment that came in from a retired college dean, and she very graciously noted that applicants can use their faculty's office hours to ask questions and develop a relationship that way. And she encouraged you to have your applicants start early. And even during this time of COVID, office hours are virtual. So keep that in mind.
Great.
Here's another one. Can't the applicant ask a recent or former advisor instructor to write the letter of recommendation? A former instead of a current. Just a quick yes or no there.
Bunny, I would say yes. I would say yes. Get a good letter of recommendation, but I mean, based on our experience last year, yes, I would say get the letter. We would love to have a letter.
Okay. Due to COVID, will you consider the lack of volunteerism on students' applications, not in a negative way?
You know, that's a great question. And it's something that the four of us talked about at length last year. And as we said, you know, think about it. Volunteering is down, going to in-person classes has changed dramatically. You have got an experienced scholarship committee that knows now to take so many factors into account. We're not going to say, oh, Susie Q doesn't have any volunteer experience because, you know, but she may be taking care of family. She may be taking care of 15 kids. I mean, heaven forbid. But we want to make sure that we have the picture. And listen, your applicants can say, I used to volunteer so many hours. There's room for that on the form. But with COVID, my opportunities have been reduced or dried up. Hey, we're people too. We know that there are struggles out there.
And it's okay to
Here's
add
a
a
related
footnote.
I'm sorry, Kathy.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like you said, it's okay to tell us that.
Yeah.
Like all of my past
Okay.
experience, all my experience is 2 years old. Well, this is why.
Right. Right. We're going to be seeing some different
Related,
forms this year, and we know a lot of it is going to have to do just because times have changed so dramatically. So,
Well, and I want to add one thing too, with regard to the letter of recommendation and the financial situation. Not everybody has financial need. And I remember one gal last year, she said, you know, I don't have financial need. I don't have extenuating circumstances, but you could tell from her letter and the letter that the chapter had written, that girl was going someplace. She was going to the stars. And so you just, I mean, seriously, you could tell. And just because, but that's what's important about the letter and about the whole thing, is that you really get to know your people so that we award scholarships to the most deserving in all areas.
okay, this is a related question. There's some confusion on the activities chart as to how to calculate, is it hours served or times met when you say 10-week/month? Any clarity on that?
I think that has to be an applicant determination. They know what they've done. They know how many hours per week or per month or total. Maybe it was an internship for 3 months. You know, it was 20 hours a week for 3 months. Let the applicants figure that out. If they have questions, work with your education committee. That's why you women are here, to know how to guide them. And you can talk it through and decide what is going to be the best entry to represent the work or the activity that they've done.
Okay. If your applicant is in grad school, do you want the undergrad transcript submitted?
I would say yes. I would say yes, please. Let's, as Vicki so eloquently said, we want to see the whole kit and caboodle. So it's a few more pages to download and to send in, but it gives us a more complete picture. And I think you all want us, the small, tight-knit committee, to have the complete picture.
Do all signatures on all the forms need to be original, or can they be electronic, such as on the recommendation letter?
You know, our preference would be original signatures. For someone who is writing a letter of recommendation, especially from a school, last year we got many electronic signatures, and we have to roll with it, but we want signatures. We want to know that somebody has actually written their Jane Henry on the form to verify that it's their work, it's true and complete to their knowledge. That's how I'm approaching those signatures. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but we'll do the best we can with that. I don't know that's a
Again,
real clear answer.
We have some experienced participants, former higher education professionals, and here's a comment from Liz Burton. If submitting multiple transcripts, the applicant should calculate and provide a cumulative GPA that includes all courses credit. That's a calculation that they will have to do on their own, since it is not typically shown on any one transcript. Thank you, Liz.
Yes, thank
And
you.
Another comment from Debbie Barber. It says most recent, but the applications are due March 1 and April 1. We'll need to be sure to include fall term, which ends in December.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Great point. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
I'm skipping over some because I think they were covered. If the education committee chairman and the chapter president are the same person, does someone else need to sign the chapter recommendation form, or does the same person sign both lines?
If you are both the president and the chapter chair, education chair, sign the form, send it in. I think we'll be able to put those two little pieces together, that we know that there's an overlap there.
These kind of combine. First of all, some question about the difference between an Oregon scholarship and a Marguerite scholarship. And then a second piece to that, if a candidate is eligible for both Marguerite and Oregon Scholar, which should they apply for?
Oh my God. We get this question a lot, don't we, Bunny? And, remember, we talked about there is a distinction between Oregon scholarships and Marguerites in terms of the number of semester hours or quarter hours earned. In order to apply for an Oregon scholarship, a woman ostensibly has to be of junior standing or higher in her education career. But there are some differences, because the Marguerite scholarship can be applied to not just higher education, toward tuition, books, childcare, whatever the case may be, but for technical courses, for licensing courses. So there's some more flexibility. Look at that resource guide that Laura talked about. There are definitions there. There are some helpful distinctions so that you know which is going to be a best fit. If you are truly confused, and I know many of you are because it's the nature of the beast, but call us. We'll walk through with you, talk to Laura, get that resource form out there. We'll help you make the best decision possible. But remember, you can apply for the Marguerite or the Oregon scholarship. Okay.
Here's one on Social Security numbers. I do not want Chapter N to be liable for misuse of Social Security numbers because we have collected a part of the number. Will our applications be considered incomplete without it?
Let me just give you a bit of history on this, and I think Bunny might be able to chime in as well. Last year, when Bunny, as I remember, she was gearing up to send award checks to schools. And it was the schools, I believe, that wanted 2 forms of identification for each woman, not just a date of birth, which we've always asked for, but they wanted either a student identification number or the last four, only the last four numbers of the Social Security number. Look at the forms. We're not asking for the whole Social Security number that brings with it a sense of liability. Last four. And that was sufficient for the schools to say, okay, we know who this woman is. This matches up with our records. The committee had a debate, and I think the board also had a debate. Well, why don't we just say include a student identification number? And in talking about that, how many of your candidates changed schools? How many candidates, let's go back to that nursing example. They haven't been accepted yet, so they don't have a student identification number. They're a high school student applying for the first time to college, and they don't have a student identification number. I think it was Kathy on our committee who so eloquently said, let's just dispense with the student ID numbers and let's just ask for the last four of the Social Security form. Now, if someone makes an error and includes the entire Social Security number, I mean, that's going to be tricky to do because we have very clearly stated on the application form only the last four digits, but I would be blacking out the three and the middle numbers so that those would not be passed on to the committee. We take confidentiality incredibly seriously here. When I work on these forms, my husband is banned from the bedroom. But we're watchful for that, but please make our job easier. Kathy, last year, I saddled her with the task of going back to the education committees to say, get the Social Security numbers from those 81 Marguerite Scholarship applicants and 141 Oregon scholarships. I was so happy to hand that off. And Kathy said yes, and I was so tickled. But okay, I digress. But please, just 4 digits. That's all we're asking for.
This is, okay, I think it relates to nursing school. If a candidate has been out of school for years and is taking a few prerequisites, for example, nursing school, is it better to get a recommendation letter from a co-worker in the hospital where she has worked for years, or from a teacher of a single prerequisite course she has taken?
We're pretty clear that we want an academic letter of recommendation. That is the bar that we've set. If the woman can't get that, and if she's been working and that's the best she can, you're going to have to give us a really good, compelling reason to accept a non-academic letter of recommendation.
Then here's a related question. Is a high school transcript needed for a woman out of school for decades if applying for a Marguerite?
Has she been in school? Has she, if this is her first, Kathy, Vicky, come on people, come on ladies, come on friends.
Yeah. This is a tough one, and I know that if they're just going for a credentials or certification program, maybe it's only going to be a 1-year course of study.
Right.
So it's difficult. I know the rule of thumb with PCE, because you're just applying for a term, we like to see that they at least have 1 term under their belt. So you see the seriousness of purpose. And this would be because PCE, it's a woman who's going back to school to improve her circumstances. So and that may not always work because of the timeline with the Oregon scholarships. Right. They need to have something, particularly if they've been out of school for a period of time.
Yes,
either prerequisite courses.
I would say that also. I think that they they would have their date. They graduated from high school, and surely they would know at least ballpark what their GPA was. But I think that we need something that would say that, if not an official transcript, their word and the chapter's backup on it.
All right, ladies, we're getting a lot more questions here. This is an engaged group.
Right, but Cindy, I think we're going to have to cut at this point. It's almost 12 o'clock and we said that was the length of it. And I'm just really grateful that you've all hung in there this long. And Cindy, if there are more questions that can be directed and we can address them and let them, give the answers to the people that have asked. Now, before we close, I do have a little survey that I'm going to put up. And if you would all click on where it says polls, somewhere on your screen, it should say polls, P-O-L-L-S. And I'm going to say, oh goodness, it says your polling session is inactive. Oh no, you were logged in from another device. What? Whoa. Bunny, I don't know what happened. My poll was ready to go.
Here it is. Wait, here it is. It's up on the screen. Can you?
Yeah,
can
I
the women
just started
see it?
it. I was able to start it, so I
Oh,
went in.
Bunny, thank you.
I don't see
Okay.
it.
Can you see it?
5 questions, but I hope that you can see it. I don't. Do you all see it?
I
hope
do.
it's there. Okay.
Yeah.
There are 5 questions. If you would just click on the little dot, either yes, no, or whatever the first question there, whatever that one is about being a chair or committee member, whatever. But if you would just click on those 5 questions and give us some kind of feedback, we would really appreciate that. And Bunny, you're going to have to help me retrieve it because obviously it's gone from my source. So that's one of our glitches. While you're doing that, I just want to extend my most heartfelt gratitude to our presenters, Mary and Vicki and Wendy and Kathy and Cindy, and to all of you, well, now it says 146. It was over 200 and some before, so some have had to leave.
Yeah.
To all of you for joining us this morning, and we just hope it's been valuable information to you and a great experience. And we hope to hear from you. And don't forget to ask those questions and send them if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
everybody.
Much.
Thank you. We feel like we've got 200 and some odd new friends here. Yay to all of you for sticking with us. Thanks.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, Lenny.
Okay.
Oh, they're leaving. Everybody's leaving. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. Bunny, I don't know how to get this poll. Do you have?
I just shared results. Can you not see it?
Nope, I cannot see anything at all. It said I'm
Well,
logged in from another place. So it must be because I'm using your login to do this. And so it's coming to you.
I don't know why it didn't work for you. I don't know why it worked for me. I really,
because I had it, I did it this morning and I had it. I'm just ready to pull it up and it's gone. And I think it must be because
well, what I can tell you is that that 44% were chairs.
How many?
44% were chairs. 40% was committee members and 16% other.
Great.
100%, well, not quite, but most were working with have been directly involved in working. So it says 84%, yeah, I read it wrong. 84% are working with or have been directly involved, your second question, and 16% no. 100% said this was helpful. If you have questions where they answered, 87% said yes, 13% said no. Maybe those are the ones Cindy didn't get to.
Yeah.
And would you like similar training each fall? And 98% said yes. I think that my opinion is it was excellent. You guys did a lot of good work. I was trying to be like a fly on the wall, but it didn't work.
I'm sure glad you were there.
Yeah, it was helpful. So thank you, Bunny. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank God you were there because
I've been scanning all the unanswered questions, and I have to tell you, I think we covered everything. There's a few that didn't quite get covered, or specifically addressed, but I believe they were addressed in the overall content. And if that is possible to post that for those who missed it or need a review, because several asked, could you reiterate certain components because it went so fast and I couldn't get the notes down.
Right.
So hopefully we can get the whole thing put up. But probably the last dozen or more chat comments that came in were really compliments. They weren't questions. People expressing appreciation, and then they had to go somewhere. They had to check out, and they just wanted to give feedback that it was helpful. And that was good. We had a couple of negative comments that had to do with how cumbersome and antiquated the program is, and why can't we do the online approach that other applications do. But I think Mary addressed that very well in noting how incredibly costly it is to do that. So I think overall the reception was very, very positive.
Unfortunately, not everybody got the message about adding their chapter letters. So some of these names, I have no idea who they are. If somebody said, if one does not answer a question, one cannot submit the survey.
I
and
don't know
then-
why that happened.
Yeah, and then somebody put no on the last question. This is good. I think it's only necessary to repeat when we have new chapter committee members. Okay, so you don't maybe not have to do it on an annual basis, or just do it for those people who need it. And then I'm not sure how this will work out in terms of putting it on the website. I mean, it's recorded, it still is being recorded. And you know, both it'll be both just the audio or the video. As I said to those who asked about it, I said, it's much better to be there in person, I think, the first time around, because I think to just sit might not be quite as effective. And I don't know what happened at the beginning, because I saw somebody else on my screen when I was talking. I don't know if that was what was recorded or what, but we'll find out, I guess. So
I had a related comment question. One chapter member asked if, she says, I'm new to this, and because she is not the official contact, how would she get communications if there were future trainings or information that needed to go out? And so, I mean, to me, I know chapter technology contacts are communicated with, and that's the responsibility of the chapter that chapter tech and the chapter president to relay that information to the committees. So to me, that's a chapter communication issue, because I know
And the education chair, we're sending these directly to the education chairs also.
right.
So,
They should
so
share.
they can share that with all of their members. Yes.
And it's also, we've also tried to publicize this training in the previous newsletter to say it's coming, the date and time. And with any luck, all chapter members would be able to see that newsletter and to at least mark their calendars if they were interested in participating.
But unfortunately, I think some of those must have gone into spam, because they were writing yesterday and today, where is it? I didn't get it, and yet they got one. Somebody else, Maureen, but I don't know where she's from, would like to have my question answered so I can report to my committee. And I have no idea who she is, because there's no chapter. That's where it would have been helpful to have that, but well, so we can't do much about that, but
Well,
somebody was, more than one somebody was very interested in, Wendy, your piece about how the scholarships are awarded and how much money was awarded and how many applicants and all that. And I have that whole page, how award decisions are made.
It's in the report of the year, the end of the year. It's on the there's a whole page on what happened last year from the Oregon.
Yeah, but of course it's not read. Yeah, because all those figures are there.
That was a comment. One I wanted that posted. How do I get that? And will that be released every year? But we did release it. It is posted.
Yeah,
So.
it is.
Well, I put down that the one person from chapter CN, I can send that to her. But I think a gentle reminder that if you read the the end of the year posting, it is made available to everybody, how much money.
Yeah, it's usually in the proceedings, but this year it was called the report of the year.
Right, right. Okay. Well, ladies,
I think we're done. Are we done?
I think we're done. Cindy, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Cindy, thank you.
tabulating those questions.
Bunny, thank
Hard
you.
job.
Thank God you were there to.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thanks, Bunny.
Rest of Saturday.
Great job.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you.
wonderful.
Bye.
All right, I'm leaving. I'm leaving
Okay.
you high and dry, ladies.
All right. I'm going to stop this recording finally.